Denver Riggleman, it is really difficult watching these hearings because it feels like the lawmakers are living in two separate realities. There's the one where Kash Patel is a man facing all of these very serious allegations about his competence. There's the one where we are witnessing politically motivated investigations into Donald Trump's perceived enemies. And there's the one on the other side where the FBI has never been doing a better job, never been more effective, and is cleaning up the political mess that past administrations have made. It's really confounding.
You know, I've been on here a lot, Katie, and I love talking to you, but there's a few things because I've been on both sides, right? And I was usually a little bit more confrontational than the other individuals, I think, that sat in Congress a little longer. But the first thing I noticed, as soon as he gets in trouble, he paints himself as a martyr. And that's the first thing I noticed when somebody's doing this type of this sort of trying to bob and weave, is that as soon as somebody says, hey, you've done this, well, did you look at my placard? It's one of the weakest. Immediately, we're not talking about your placard. Obviously, you don't have a good answer for what I just asked you. I don't care about your placard. And second thing, past performance is indicative of future performance. Kash Patel doesn't tell the truth, Katie. And I think that's the thing that's interesting to me, is that the first thing I'm going to ask, well, you said you were in Italy because Italy had China's CCP lead hacker, in custody. Well, if he's in custody, why are you there? And if it was so important for you to be there, why were you drinking with the U.S. hockey team? Because shouldn't you be actually on watch if it was that important? That is a common sense follow-up question that should be a bit of a face smasher. And the other thing, too, is I'm going to believe Brian Driscoll over Kash Patel any day. And so when you're looking at this, it's almost like this sane washing sort of just everybody's all kind and quiet. We have an administration out of control. When he talks about decentralization and you look at these statistics, where are those actually baseline numbers coming from? What are your sources on that? Every time he says something like, well, I would like for the exhibit, I want to see the sources on what you just said, because right now we're not seeing these exact numbers. And so I watch these individuals. I don't know if their staffers aren't preparing them with questions through a law enforcement liaison. If they don't have an FBI liaison that they can call out immediately, they should be calling everybody there. And as soon as he talks about Iran, oh, for goodness sakes. Right? So you've backed into the fact that there's Iranian sleeper cells? Is that what you're alluding to? Who are they? What are their names? What are the names of the people that weren't fired? If you said they were fired, how many people do you have there now? And don't they have a list of the names of the people that were terminated? That's the first thing that should bring out. So, Katie, you've noticed it. You've identified it. This is actually the sane washing ridiculousness it's really hard for me to watch.
Denver, it's really good to have you. Thank you for joining us. I know you had to run at 3:30, and we got you in just in time. Thank you. All right, Tom Dupree, I'd like you to pick up on that, because it is it's difficult. It's difficult to hold these two worlds in balance, one where everything is normal and fine and very effective, and one where this is very scary and very concerning.
Yeah, and look, I hear what you're saying, and I take the point that we have a situation where the questioners are proceeding down one track and the FBI director is answering questions on another track. But at the same time, it's possible that both sides' points have some element of legitimacy to them. In other words, the Democratic senators who are pushing him on the excessive drinking allegations have a very fair point. I mean, I think Senator Murray was exactly right, where she said, I respect all the work that the men and women of the FBI are doing every day to keep our country safe, but I also have concerns about your leadership. Very fair question. At the same time, I think in fairness to the director, he did fairly put the spotlight on the results that the FBI has been accomplishing. To be sure, you could question the results, you could push him, you could ask him, as Denver Riggleman was saying, about the basis for those statistics, but at least that would be a valid way of measuring how the FBI is doing. Are they, in fact, keeping us safe? So I think there could be some elements of truth in what both sides are saying at this hearing.
Chris, weigh in.
Well, I would certainly question where these statistics are coming from. They seem, completely fabricated. Listen, I talk to current and former agents nearly every day, and that's not the ground truth we're getting from anybody. Since this is, an appropriations committee, where they should be asking, where did you spend the money last year, and what are you going to do the same thing this year? When we talk about redirecting agents who work intelligence and counterterrorism, to walk foot patrols in Washington, D.C. FBI agents are not cops. Those positions are funded, by Congress for intelligence reasons. So, they're taking congressional money and using it in a way that they shouldn't be. Maybe only a third of the time, but they're duties that the FBI agents weren't supposed to be doing. How much does it cost every time you fly around the world with your girlfriend, getting in the G5 jet, and the man hours for your security detail to fly with you, and the lodging and everything else that goes along with it? How much does it cost the American taxpayer for us to provide 4 SWAT agents to protect your girlfriend who lives in another state? And so many other, incidents of fraud, waste, and abuse, because he's not a serious leader. He doesn't know how to lead an organization. He doesn't know how to carry out a mission or inspire people. And we see it playing out every day. This is not one controversy. It's been a series since he got into office. And it's just demonstrative of the fact that he's unfit for the position. And listen, it was irresponsible for the president to appoint him, irresponsible for the Senate to confirm him. Now it's negligent for anybody to allow him to stay in this position, because as we come up to the 25th anniversary of September 11th, we know what could happen to this country, when struck with a major crisis. Kash Patel has not been able to effectively respond to a minor crisis. Can you only imagine if he's left in charge when we are seriously hit? And as a reminder, we are at war with Iran right now, and they have significant terrorism capabilities, cyber capabilities, and espionage capabilities. Those are the things that the FBI works, and it's their bread and butter. So, there needs to be a change.
Carol, in the course of your reporting, are you hearing concerns about response time, readiness, that there's a change in posture under the leadership of Kash Patel?
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much.
Yes. The answer is yes. Not because people aren't throwing themselves at the job, but because people are human beings. And once you've lost 2 people next to you in your squad, you can't do the work of 3 people. I've had so many sources describe to me their pain upon learning that they're now going to be walking the streets in Minneapolis or in Portland or in Las Vegas looking for immigrants to arrest who might be illegal or might be in an asylum process and therefore removable, so that the government can meet Donald Trump and Stephen Miller's quota of X number of immigrants deported per day. That's not what the FBI is in charge of. And Chris so perfectly described what the bread and butter of the FBI is. And the fear inside those units is, while we're not doing this, while I've lost X number of colleagues, how well am I going to be able to pierce this threat on the horizon or see it before it strikes?
Carol,
Iran is perhaps the most worrisome, because we know from previous criminal charges and a trial that recently just happened in the Eastern District of New York, we know the numerous times Iran has been able to get cells into the United States, hire essentially assassins, and try to target specific people, including then candidate Donald Trump, for assassination. So it's not figment of our imagination or overactive imagination. It's a very real threat, and it's what the FBI is trained to do.
So I know you're so plugged in. You're following a lot of the dismissals and a lot of the changes. When Kash Patel is talking about whether people have been reassigned immigration cases or immigration investigations, when he's talking about Iran teams not getting fired, is this spin, or is he being dishonest to the committee? Is he lying in front of Congress? Can you say?
I think I can say in a broad brush way, Katie, and I want to be very careful and precise in a way I do not think the FBI director is. My colleague and I, Ken Dilanian, have reported numerous incidents of firings, of removals, of people being told they're going to have to be polygraphed at the direction of the FBI director. we stand by all of that reporting. We have no qualms about the corroboration and the degree of affirmation we've gotten from multiple sources, from reviewing other materials. We have no concern that those things are correct. And yet the FBI has denied them before we went to press numerous times. The FBI, just to remind, denied that Kash Patel was going to the Olympics for anything other than a business trip, that it was a business trip. On the record, the FBI spokesperson said that it was a business trip. We all know what it actually ended up being, a drinking trip for a hockey fan, perhaps the biggest hockey fan in America. We know that unit, CI-15, had numerous members removed, multiple agents, and up to 12 total people, including support staff. I wonder sometimes if it's semantics that we're getting back from the director or from the FBI sort of press office, but the fact of the matter is very clear, and we don't have any issues with the reporting we've done on these stories that I'm describing to you.